What is going on, everybody? We are back out here on project. We were calling it Papa Smurf, but we've decided not to go with the rust bucket of a blue body we got over there. So, and since he wants the final color to be red, I think we're going to call this one Project Red Rocket, just for all my immature friends like me. Anyway, we're getting back on this Project Red Rocket. Right now, I've got this old body that's pretty dang rusty. I've got a lot of those. There's a lot of rusty samurai bodies out there. But the frame and everything in this is real good shape. You know, surface rust, but nothing other than that. And then I've got another body down there that the frame on it may be good, but it's got no axles or anything underneath it. And the just above the rear fenders on the rear quarters there, it looks like a limb or something fell across them. So it's kind of caved in. But other than that, the thing is rust free. So I'm going to get this body off of this frame, clean up this frame, paint it, go ahead and do my suspension lift, all that good stuff. And then we're going to straighten out that other body and put it on this frame. So yeah, for today, I'm just going to see if I can get what's left holding this body on taken off so we can lift this body off of here. So I'm being attacked by a wasp. It's getting me that time of year. Anyway, don't know that we'll get the body lifted off today, but I at least want to get close, get it unbolted, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sit still everybody, don't go away.
Stay with me, fella. Come on. All right, we're gonna try this out. I don't do much with this camera with the tracking, but we're gonna try it out today. See if it can keep up with me. Not like I'm real speedy. We're starting the process of getting this body ready to remove off of this samurai. We're almost there. I've got to crawl underneath and undo a couple body mount bolts, undo the parking brake and the gas filler neck, and unhook the rear lights. And I think it's ready to come off, so I'll set you up on a tripod, do a little time lapsing for you. We'll get this thing ready to lift off of here. I've got the axles out from under the frame now. Got it pretty well stripped down, got it set up on some sawhorses here. So today, we're gonna start cleaning it up for paint. I say this isn't a restoration. We're gonna knock the surface rust off, scuff up everything else, put a fresh coat of tractor paint on it. Gonna be time lapse for today. It's not super exciting stuff, but gets us one step closer to our road trip. All right, guys, we're back out here on Project Red Rocket. Over the weekend, I worked on getting the frame ready to paint. They said it's not perfect, but we got the rust spots knocked down, got everything scuffed up. Let's slap a coat of paint on it. Just using gloss black tractor paint. Again, not a show car, it's gonna be a trail rig. Just while we're going this far, we wanna make it look as good as we can. Anyway, I've got the paint mixed up, about to dump it in the spray gun and get to work. All right, we got a couple coats of paint on the frame, well, at least on the bottom side of it. I'm gonna let it cure real good, and then tomorrow we'll flip it over and do the other side. Since I don't have a way to properly set it up, I don't want to booger up one side just to get the other one done. Had a little trouble at first. I don't guess I had it thinned quite enough, even though I did what they said, but got it going. Had to turn up the air pressure a little bit more than I'm used to, but it came out, looks pretty good. I'm sure I probably missed some spots, but when I flip it over, we can catch those. At least, you know, I'm pretty sure I got everything that I won't be able to get when I flip it over. So spin you around, show you what we got. When I left off the other day, we'd got the frame painted as best we could on one side, let that cure overnight, flipped it over the next day, was going to paint the other side, but it's been so windy for the last 2 days. So I hadn't painted that yet, but we should be able to today or tomorrow. Right now I've changed gears. I've got the front axle here. I've got the old U-bolts and spring plates off. Got my new Dr. Z spring purchase. If you're building a Samurai, definitely can't go wrong with Dr. Z stuff. I'm pretty sure he's got some Toyota stuff too. I had never really looked. I look at the Samurai stuff, but big, solid, beefy laser cut spring purchase. My shackles are from him as well. In fact, on my Samurai, the front bumper is also from him. So I got missing link on that one. All my shackles, all the missing link, front bumper, all Dr. Z. Like I said, we're doing the same on here. He was kind enough to give me a little discount on those to tell y'all a little bit about them. So like I said, if you get a chance, Dr. Z, you won't be disappointed with his stuff. You're locating holes on the spring purchase. You've got 3, so you can shift your axle a little bit one way or the other. Just well thought out, well designed stuff. Great service. He's always quick to respond when I reach out to him, so give him a chance. Give him some love. He's on YouTube as well, got some cool projects on there, so like I said, check him out. I say I'm not the best welder out there. I'm learning, I'm getting better. So I'm sure my welds would get laughed at by a lot, but they hold. And you know, that's how you get better, practice. All right, we got these welded on. The mail lady pulled up about the same time I finished. I cut y'all off kind of quick, but these are all welded in, looking good and solid. I'll show you all my welds just because you can laugh, but They're not terrible. I mean, I'm no pro, but they're not too bad. Let me get you off the tripod and show you here. I desperately need better lighting in my shop, or my carport, I should say, but there you go. Like I said, not fantastic, but not terrible. They'll hold. So now that I've got those welded on, there you are. I gotta clean up out here. I need my buddy to come pick up his stuff. I am running out of room rapidly here. Anyway, I've got those welded on. We can take the wire wheel and clean up the rest of the axle. Get it ready for paint. I'm gonna bust the spring packs apart, clean them up. We're gonna paint those too. We are running rears up front, so I robbed some rear springs off of one of my other part Samurais. Alright guys, you can see I've got my spring packs broke apart here. At least 3 of them. I got the other one, I couldn't get the center bolt out, so I took it down to Dad's where I've got a better heat source. We'll get it broke apart, but you can see, you know, this is before I mess with it. Rusty, nasty, ugly. And here's, you know, I'm just knocking the rust off of the wire wheel on the grinder. And then we'll wipe it down and paint it when we paint the other, just to freshen them up a little bit. Now the main spring, you know, I'm not going to all the trouble to take this apart where it's got, you know, that keeper, but I'll slide it, sand, slide it back the other way. Alright, so that's one of those clean, you get the idea. I'm gonna do that to the rest of them. I'll turn you back on when we're getting ready to paint. Okay, frame's all painted up. Leaf packs are painted with the exception of one. I've still got to flip over and paint the other side. Mounting plates for the springs are painted. I only needed to paint one set of shackles, so they're painted on one side. I'll have to flip them and paint them. I'm waiting on some parts for the rear axle. I ordered the SJ410 backing plate so I can do the backing plate mod. Well, I've got it out. I can go ahead and do the backing plate mod. And the pinion seal's leaking on that, so we're gonna go ahead and replace that while we're doing all that. Then we'll get that painted and put back under here. Off camera, I went ahead and welded the spring perches on. I got the front axle all painted up. It's ready to go back under. All right, we've got the rear axle set up here on the sawhorses. You can see I've got the new perches welded on. Getting ready to pull the drain plug and see if there's any fluid left in here at all. When I had this taken off and laying down, you see it was all just running out that seal. So we'll see if there's anything left in here, and we'll get the axles pulled out. So, woohoo! Fun times. All right, let's see what we can do. I already broke the drain plug loose. Drier than a popcorn fart. Alright, well, we'll just put that back in then. I've already got the drum off on the other side. I'm waiting on my cousin. Already had a brake kit and stuff, so I'm waiting for him to send that, because when I pulled the drum off, the shoes just kind of fell out. All the retention plates and springs and everything were in pretty rough shape. Alright, we got that drum off of there finally. Now we're gonna see if we can get in here and get our bolts out so we can go ahead and remove the axle. I'm throwing everything. Pet's heads are falling off. When in doubt, whack it out. Right before I turned the camera back on, I hit this a couple times with the slide hammer, so it's knocked free. So you can see why we do this backing plate mod. Because in order to get to the wheel bearings or change a broken axle, you have to take your whole brake assembly off. Or that backing plate mod will do away with that. So that's what we're going to do with that. We'll put some new wheel bearings on here and stuff too. These are, oh yeah, these are worn. Alright guys, back out here in the shop, been a few days, we've been waiting on some parts, trying to get this video wrapped up for you. Today we are going to do the backing plate mod, show you how we set that up, put our drum brakes back together, got a whole new hardware kit for those. Then we're going to see if we can get this axle together and back under the frame there so we can actually be able to roll the frame around. And then next video we'll get an engine set pulled out of the other rig and set in there. So we'll have a couple videos left on this series. Anyway, I'm gonna get you set up on the tripod here in a second. We're gonna start by cutting out the old backing plate that houses all the brake drum stuff, and we'll show you how that goes. One thing I do want to mention, we've got cool new hats now. I'm making these in-house. I'm working on a way to get them on our website, but I haven't got that figured out yet. But I've got this one and a gray one. I'll post a picture of it. If you're interested in one, shoot me an email. I'm making them in-house, shipping them out, but eventually they'll be on the website. I just haven't had time to sit down and figure that out. Anyway, let's get to work. All right, for this project and most of our, well, all of our projects going forward, this is our new welder. It's kind of dusty right now because pollen, but it's the Simder 10-in-1 welder. I'm going to do a full review on it soon. I'm just still trying to get used to everything on it, but this is an awesome little machine, especially if you're tight on space. This will do MIG or gasless flux core, TIG, stick, plasma cutter, all kinds of stuff. It's got a spool gun for it, so I can do aluminum. They even give you other sleeves, so you can run aluminum wire right through the MIG gun without having to use the spool gun. But if I can just swap guns back and forth, that's easier. I do have a foot pedal for the TIG. It is DC TIG, so you can't weld aluminum, TIG weld aluminum, but you can MIG weld aluminum with this. Like I said, plasma cutter. The MIG welding is synergic, meaning, it's going to adjust your wire feed as you adjust your amperage. Anyway, I'm still learning about it. I'm not that great a welder. I'm learning, but I am going to get a full review ready for you on that soon. But let's fire it up and get set up to plasma cut. If I can find the switch. I'm going by Braille here. Where is it? There it is. Now you fire it up. You get this cool little screen. does have two big fans that run all the time, but I'd rather have some noise and it lasts longer. But as you can see here on the screen, you just rotate through all the different functions it can do until you find what you're wanting. And you tap that other button. It was right there. You couldn't see it on the screen. Then you can adjust your power. Yeah. And I'll show you what I've done on the back here. I don't want to get too detailed because that will be in the full video. But where your air comes in for your plasma cutter shares the same spot with your gas for your TIG welding. So I just put this nice little Y on here with valves. So, you know, right there, they're both off. This one's going up to my air inlet. That one goes up to my TIG gas, my 100% argon. So I made this welding cart out of just a Temu toolbox. Golly, I'm horrible with camera day. Made the welding cart of a Temu toolbox so I can hold both my welding bottles. I got a mixed gas for my MIG welding and my argon for TIG. You see, nice big spool of wire in here. So yeah, it's compact. I mean, this is, I'm sure you wouldn't want to use it in a setting that's, you know, commercial grade where you're running it hardcore all the time. But it does have really good duty cycles. Again, I'm going to get into all that on the full video on it, but for someone limited on space, man, this is the way to go. And you guys have clearly seen I'm out of room, so we replaced the little flux core welder with this. Anyway, let's get to work and stop talking. All right, hopefully we can do something with that camera angle. Not the best, but it's what I got. So what we want to do with these backing plates, this is your, you know, your old backing plate. So held all of your drum brake parts. So in other words, if you broke an axle or need to do an axle seal or anything like that, you had to take your entire brake assembly off. Now imagine doing that on the trail. It's bad enough, you know, doing it in a garage, but on the trail would be horrible. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this out. I've got new wheel bearings here. We'll mark it and cut it out big enough for those to pass through. So we'll put a little hole there. And then we'll take these and we notch these so that they can slide around the axle. So you can leave this hanging on there, unbolt this, pull it out of the way, slide your axle out. Anyway, so let's get going on that. I'm gonna flip this back over the way I had it. Make life easier on myself. We're gonna take this bearing. I mean, it's pretty well marked out for you, but I want to draw a line anyway. So we got that marked out. I'm going to put the bearing back in the box and put the box over here out of the way so we don't cook it. And we'll get these cut out. Then we'll slap some paint on these and let them dry. Take my hat off here. Dirty. As you can see, got the air turned on. Got it set to plasma cut. Let's get this untangled a little bit here. And then you just, it's a nice pilot arc too. You don't have to, you just pull the trigger and it's ready to go. So we're going to turn this down a little bit. And away we go. I say away we go. Let me put a glove on this. I want to be able to steady this. All right. And we take a hammer. This is the closest one within reach. Knock that out. I'll take the die grinder and clean it up. I know it's not super pretty. Anyway, that one's there. Piled stuff in the way. We're not gonna mark this one like we did the other. I'm just gonna go by that circle. So, one more time. I love plasma cutters. This is the first one I've ever had, but my gosh, I love it. Okay, you can see we got the axle back in the housing. We got the drum brake assembly back together. So let me show you what we're talking about with this SJ410 backing plate. So originally, the way it's designed, if you have to pull an axle or do wheel bearings or anything that requires taking the axle out, you would have to unhook your brakes, pull this whole plate off of your whole drum brake assembly just to get the axle out. And so then when you put it back together, you got to bleed your brakes and all that stuff. No fun on the trail for sure. So we take one of these 410 backing plates, we cut that notch out of the center there, then it just slides right in, and put your nuts back on, and voila. That way if you break something, you just take your 4 nuts off, pull that backing plate off, and you can take your axle right on out. So that's that. I'm going to get this bolted back up. I think that's probably going to wrap it up for this video. I did want to say thanks for watching. Appreciate all the support. We've seen a good growth spurt here lately, and I hope that continues. Check out our merch. It's linked in the description. I've got it marked down to where I make $1 or $2 on it. I'm just trying to get our name out there a little bit. Some cool samurai shirts. Working on some shirts for my son's XJ. And like I said, I've got those hats. I'm making those in-house. So just send me an email if you want one. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all take care. See ya.